for this particular piece, the only thing we really need to do is get this content from the Google Doc into the Google Slides in such a way that it is being presented in a very similar fashion, page-wise or slide-wise, as it will be in the final iSpring presentation. The reason we need that is because when we pull the content from the Google Doc and start putting it onto the slides, we typically find that some of that content needs to be on one slide, whereas we switch gears and we want to move the next line of content or paragraph to another slide. It's not supposed to feel like a PowerPoint presentation. It's supposed to feel like a course page, but at the same time, we don't want it to be too crowded, and we want it to be very eye-catching for the student and interactive where possible. So when you start building everything into the PowerPoint, which I'll show you in a second, you'll notice that the way I have it set up, both in this very basic template, which is not what it will look like in the end, but also in the materials and examples that I sent to you in the email and that are in their last course, you'll find that the content is spaced out, but there's a lot more content obviously on these slides than there would be in a PowerPoint presentation. So what we will use this for is when we go through the PowerPoint in our next meeting, and the next meeting is about media development, so that's going to be our graphics, our videos, our images. What we need to figure out is what images do we have, because they have some assets that they're providing for this project, and what images do we need to pull to find, what graphics do we need to develop, what tables, what icons, and that sort of thing. And the easiest way to do that is to be able to see the content on the actual slide or iSpring page. And this is a really easy way to do that without having a giant file and having a very easily shareable file. So that's essentially what we're doing. All right, so what you'll find in this Google Slides presentation is that on the very first slide, I've provided some background information about their branding. This is really basic. Once we do our media meeting, we'll actually end up with a style sheet that's really detailed. And then you pop into kind of a title slide for the first module. You can copy and paste this as a title slide for the other two modules. I've already gone in and put in the first lesson. You can go in and put the other lessons in, the titles and the numbers, and then you can add lessons below this and kind of move these blocks as much as you need to. And then you move into the module introduction, and I have the module introduction and the learning objectives separate. Basically just paste it in without formatting because the blocks of text will already have the formatting that we need in there. And then you'll see that a lot of these pages have a place for like a little placeholder. And I've already put in here that, a photo of the vineyards in Burgundy might be really nice to beef up this particular page. And then what this is for, the link space, is down the road once we've had our media meeting. If we already have an image for this, then we put the link to the image there. And then if we don't, then we would get one and then upload it to Dropbox typically and put the link in there. And then that way, when it's time to actually design these, after we pull it off of Google Slides, it's not hard to find the specific image that our designer is supposed to put in there. A quick note about learning objectives, you can go ahead and pull them over, but I did want to mention that these are not going to be finalized until we do the quiz questions. A lot of times what we do is they give us these, we edit them and make sure that they're quality and accurate and so forth. But then when we start building out their quizzes, they typically will say, hey, we don't want that many questions. So we'll narrow it down to really the key points that they want students to be assessed on and to leave the course with. And whatever final assessments we end up with will dictate whether or not we get rid of some of these, combine them, simplify them, change them in any way. But it's worth going ahead and pulling them over so that we have them handy. And the next slide that you'll find is the title slide for the lesson. And each of the lesson title slides, which I do have some basic master slide layouts in there, think I've got like, I didn't have a lot of time, but you're welcome to do whatever you want to with these, but it's like a 2-lesson title slide. There's a 3-lesson title slide. I think I went up to 4. But anyway, what that means is what are the topics within your lesson? And some of the lessons have topics and some are just so short that they're just a single topic. But a good example is actually that very first lesson that we have in here that I've already pulled over just for an example. You'll notice I actually went ahead and made a change, but this and this was not there. It was just one solid chunk of text, which is fine. It's not a big deal. But when you start pulling the text over into these slides, what you'll typically find is that there are actually smaller sections that are sometimes hard to notice until you start thinking about, well, what exactly, how am I going to portray this on the page? And what media might I have aligned with that particular note? And so it might pop out to you pretty quickly that you need to add a topic in there. And if you want to, go for it. If you're not sure, that's fine. You don't have to do it. But I love it's something that's really easy to change. So any recommendations you have for the structure and layout of these is very, very welcome. Okay, so you'll notice that I put the content that's under location and size on one slide. It may not remain on one slide, but for now it's going to stay there just for the purpose of going through it. And then I also have these 2 red notes about a map. I just put that information into the description part of this image placeholder. And so just to give you a feel for what this becomes, so you have a vision for what you could propose as you're going through and putting in the content. What I would imagine would happen here is, we give the general information here and then the areas. And then when they click next on the iSpring output file, they would come to a full screen map that then automatically starts bringing in overlays of the regions and titles so that they can see where they are. And then when they click next, it would take them back into the text and they would read about this part, at which point maybe they see, another map that kind of builds on the regions that we just showed them, but then also shows them some size statistics. And that could be on the same page with the text or a separate slide altogether. And then we move down into the second new little section that I put in there where it just focuses on Côte d'Or. And you'll find that went ahead and put a placeholder here, and I left this blank in case you were interested in maybe filling in what you think would be really helpful as an image associated with this content to kind of bring it to life. And last but not least, these little boxes that they have, the quick facts. I just made a quick template for how it could be laid out for now. These will be sort of set apart in some way so that it's really noticeable that we've moved away from the 101 content to more brand specific content. And finishing up with our review. And then you can just put a quiz placeholder for each of the modules as well. And we'll add those quizzes in later. You'll need to add the next lesson right here before the module 1 review and then all the other lessons there. But I at least wanted to give you some of the main, template type pages that you can just copy and paste and reuse. So this is for a different course, but it's the same kind of concept. Before we put any of the graphics in, what this would have been is just, right here, for example, this would have just been a list of the AVAs. And then you can see how we've got this map where we show exactly where they are. These are the areas within Oregon. We also put in, and these are actually both videos, but I'll show you that in a second. So, we also have the larger map. So here's those AVAs again, but within the larger, they're nested AVAs if you care, within the larger AVA that sits within the state of Oregon, and then one of the surrounding areas. We have some icons built in and so on, but what this would have originally been at the stage where we're at now is just this text on a page with nothing else on it, similar to what we're doing. And there's a lot of text on some pages, not much on other pages. And then we throw in the images, we add animations within PowerPoint, and yeah, we take it from there. So what I want to do is show you what this becomes once you export it, because this is PowerPoint, as you'll probably recognize. But what we do is we set up an outline and some player information in the iSpring tab, and then we export it as an HTML5 file. And then we pull that into our learning management system, where students can then view it in a similar fashion to this and to the courses that I showed you as an example as well. So here's the outline that's built in through iSpring. You can navigate through. I'm just going to pop right back up to the beginning so you can see what this looks like. Here's that video, the first video. So, we pull the map in and we show them where everything is. And then that list becomes more animated. Anyway, so they would watch this entire video, get to the end, and then it feels like you're in the same presentation, but now when I click that, we're back in the PowerPoint slide and out of that video. And then we can animate the text to come in really interesting ways so that it keeps their attention. And we can break up the subtopics that we have in our lessons in such a way that really lets them know that you've moved from one topic to the next, and have some images that are labeled that help them understand the concepts themselves. And so on and so forth. So that's kind of the gist of what it will eventually become. And this is a really good starting place for us to be able to go through and figure out what it is that we need to develop as far as the graphics go. That is about it. Let me know if you have any questions, and I'll talk to you soon. Thank you.